Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and welcome to another scene set in Darkness in Dublin, a Vampire the Masquerade venue. Tonight, we set the scene with Francis after a very puzzling conversation with Monique. It was odd regarding complaints that his accountee was making about him, which he found as amusing as it was confusing. And a lot of complaining about the other Toreador neonate in town. That Monique might die for. What a nice person. But with that conversation out of the way and that bemusing interaction concluded, Francis has made his way to visit his grandsire and other blood relatives, so that he might catch up with them and discover what it is, just what it might be they want to discuss with him. As there is oh so much to teach, oh so much to learn about, and oh so much to catch up on. So yeah, he's making his way to his grandsire's place.
On a side note, okay, your grandsire has taken the top floor of rooms at the Winds Hotel, located in Dublin city centre, so the most extravagant hotel in the city. Oddly enough, the exact same hotel that was the home of Madame Gilles when she herself was here, because it's old money. It is extravagant in the old school. Francis, as you enter into the large conservatory, stepping down the steps, I'm not even shitting you. That's 20 successes. You will hear your grandsire playing the piano with 20 successes.
Wow!
Because it was his dexterity, his performance music, and his celerity. I think I killed Francis.
Yeah. Francis literally coughs. Well, the player actually coughs at that. I feel like we're definitely gonna make a roll here because that is entrancing as fuck.
I'm gonna have to set this like difficulty 9.
That's fine. That's completely
With
fine.
the
He
rest-
fails. He doesn't botch though, so he's not like super screwed. But he does fail.
But you see the Prince of Paris is seated at a grand piano, his fingers flicking across the keys with supernatural speed. He's going to be playing something by Beethoven, I think, this evening. He will play Beethoven's Second Symphony, the first movement of the Second Concerto. The music it almost resonates in your bones. His playing is beyond perfect. It is beyond human perfection. Until with the last crescendo of the notes, he stops. His hands just freeze over the keys. So good to see that you've joined me.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
The prince stands and he walks over to Francis. How tall is Francis? I've asked this before.
I think it was like he stands around 6 feet. He's like slightly taller than the average person.
The prince is not Francois is not particularly tall. Bear in mind he was born, of course, in the 1200s. So he's probably around 5'9", 5'10". But he will do the French double kiss.
Yep, and Francis will return it. Absolutely adoring being kissed by someone with appearance 7, with an unbelievable musical talent that will stand the test of ages.
So, my darling grandchild, Shall we sit down and have something to drink, perhaps?
Why, of course. What particular flavor did you have in mind?
I'm personally not. How would I phrase this? I prefer to be surprised, so I've merely had the house send me intermittent bottles and I have tasted them. So I think that we shall do the same, no?
Sounds good.
He settles himself down in a chair that is located just in front of a low glass coffee table. There's
Mm-hmm.
a couch that Francis can sit on right next to it. But he nods. He rings a small bell, and a maid will enter the room, and she will set down a silver serving tray with a large silver covering on it before she will lift the covering. And inside, you see a bottle that contains a very bright green liquid and two small glasses that contain spoons and sugar. And he will say, "Ah, absinthe, always a delight."
Francis looks at the bowl. Sorry, it was what was it that was delivered?
Absinthe.
Absinthe.
Can I ask a really weird question?
Mm-hmm.
Is Francis bisexual or straight?
Um, he probably would have been. That's a good question. I'll just say bisexual.
It's a very Toreador thing, I should think.
Yeah, and I mean, being a kindred, like that sort of, orientation has become a bit less defined in the undead state as well.
It's more so the fact that he is very obviously reading your aura, and he is, he's kind of measuring everything. Because when you get to his age, you measure everything.
You just see everything.
But he will pour the absinthe. He will pour it from the bottle over the sugar, which will cause the sugar to dissolve. Before he will lift his own glass, and he will say, "To our bloodline."
To our bloodline.
He will knock back the shot, very kind of like Campai style.
Would it be fair to say because of Francis's age that he would actually have had a childhood?
That you have a Childer?
Would it have been fair to say that?
I'm gonna say no because you've never referenced them before.
Okay.
That is not to say once again you could not be given the right to embrace.
Okay, cool. I was just checking.
So, tell me about the man that is Francis Beaumont in the city that is Dublin. I am hungry to hear more.
Francis thinks it's been like a really whirlwind time for him in Dublin, so it actually takes a moment. Takes him a moment to compose his thoughts. I'm not sure where to begin. The three-way war, diplomacy with a Sabbat bishop, and a foray into the abyss.
Start at the very beginning. It is a very good place to start.
Francis recomposes himself again, or like he kind of thinks back, as it almost feels like 10 years when it's been like a few months. Just the sheer like amount of things that have happened to him. Well, the first real thing that happened, I suppose, was merely a few nights after I arrived here. Ran into Delano. And then, well, volunteered myself to negotiate with the Sabbat bishop. The strange-looking thing had looked like an elf, if I'm completely honest.
That's interesting. I've heard of entities like this. They are a divergence of the Lasombra blood. But I'm led to understand that they are mostly scholars and not martially inclined. So to hear one of them as a bishop of the Sabbat, she clearly must have been more known for her brain than it was for her brawn.
Yes, very fey-looking creature. Although, yes, I would agree she had brains, or at least enough to parley with us. She was living in an estate just outside of Dublin in the countryside somewhere. She had actually invited us to what she considered to be her domain to negotiate terms of surrender. I wasn't the one leading the investigation, rather I preferred to take a step back and just nudge the Ventru where they needed to be. Some of them were a little bit too direct in their negotiations and were focusing on the wrong things, in my opinion. But I managed to direct them towards a much more equitable arrangement with this bishop. I'm actually surprised that they have such a reasonable figure among their number. It's the first time I've negotiated with a Sabbat.
I have a really weird question.
Mm-hmm.
How well does Francis know his bloodline?
Probably pretty well.
Does he know that the individual who you're talking to, who his sister is?
I don't actually know that character. Oh, I actually, yes. Yeah.
The fact that good old Francois, his sister is Marie Galbraith.
His grand auntie is the fucking regent of the Sabbat.
No, not his granddad. The two of them were both embraced by Helena.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
mean. His grand aunt.
oh, your granddad,
My
yes,
grand aunt.
yes. No,
Yes.
yeah, your granddad. So I'm pondering because like saying that to him was an interesting choice of words.
Oh, yeah. Well, I might change my words if it's offensive.
No, he doesn't seem to take offense.
But okay. He But yeah, he'll say we managed to we managed to secure basically the entirety of her retinue, all of her Templar friends, in addition to all her established infrastructure and shovelheads in exchange for a trip back to Mexico City.
See, that is
Well,
interesting.
Nosferatu also ended up saying something at the time a little bit. I'm not sure whether to call it naive or cynical, but he inadvertently implied that the prince had been leading us into a trap, or well, at the very least unknowingly. That got a very interesting response from His Majesty.
I just think so. Sometimes people just do not know when it is wiser to close their mouth than it is when they are open.
It definitely caught my attention.
I should think so.
It was rather surprising to hear. Delano had a lot of words to say about it.
Delano is an interesting individual, I will say.
Well, and he certainly made himself welcome here in Dublin.
He is complicated.
Oh,
So,
house. Oh,
oh no, he just smiled.
I have to say, I'm very curious. I haven't, despite all of our conversations, I haven't had a chance to learn about Delano particularly intimately.
How do I phrase this? Delano traces his own bloodline from an interesting source, shall we say. But he is, I'm sure, as loyal as any Toreador. But ultimately, he is his own man. So I have yet to get the measure of him. He served in Toulouse before he came to Dublin, where I am led to understand that his service was excellent.
He has done nothing to steer me wrong so far.
No, nor do I believe he will. I'm just saying that oftentimes roses are very beautiful in the garden, but we have to be careful how it is they are plucked.
Francis, takes a fairly considerate look to that. Yes, where were we? Oh yes, diplomacy with the Sabbat. And I'm trying to remember all the plot lines Francis has been in. Was that the one which got him the boons he needed to become sheriff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've spent so long fighting Sabbat, but it's diplomacy with them which actually earns me my role as a sheriff.
I've often found that you need to know when it is best to bow as opposed to when it is best to stand.
Very true. At least one member of our clan in this city would do well to learn that.
Oh.
A frustrating blemish on an otherwise perfect evening at the ball.
Do tell me more.
A member of our clan. I don't believe I was given his name, but he had offended the prince and the Giovanni, and the Primogen here has had to pay the Giovanni a boon to have the issue resolved. I believe he referred to the Giovanni here as Don Corleone.
You're sure that that should get a reaction from him, but you're not sure if he doesn't. He doesn't seem to get the reference.
That's fine. That was, well, means to say that Giovanni reacted strongly and ended up breaking his mask in a rather spectacular fashion. I saw it all the way from across the hall. It was quite a mess over there. And then he ended up crying in the stalls, and one of our own had to bring him back to his senses.
He cried in public.
I believe he went to the bathroom to shed his misery, as it were.
Ah, this is the one who my brother Prince has dictated will die in the event that they are not properly taught.
And Delano's child with them, if she cannot teach him so.
Do you believe that she will succeed?
I'm confident that she will, but I have no issue of intervening if he proves particularly rebellious. I have no interest in dealing with a rogue member of our clan in this city.
Perhaps he is just a singer who has yet to find his voice.
I hope so. My own county has been oscillating. She makes a lot of progress, but in very specific areas, and seems to have trouble understanding certain aspects of our world. I think it's because she's just so attached to her mortal life that she's yet to actually make the leap, as it were.
Do you believe that her clinging to humanity is a positive or a negative step?
I don't believe it is wrong. In fact, in many ways, I'm quite encouraging of it, but she sometimes it's almost like she uses it as a shield to dismiss the world around her. Rather, she uses it as an excuse for ignorance rather than.
Ignorance is a terrible thing.
She could use it as a means to balance herself, but instead it seems to be doing more to unbalance her right now. But I think it's something that will resolve itself in time. It's nothing I haven't seen fledglings go through before. It's just something that I believe will take a few months for her to adapt to. And then hopefully she will have the best of both worlds. She has already become a harpy through a very interesting situation in which the seneschal was quite cross with me, and he seemed to appreciate her bluntness.
I first met the man who is now known as Seneschal Hennessy in the year 1525. He has not changed very much.
Interesting. He does seem to pride himself on his consistency. Francis' aura does look a bit suspect at that.
What is it that you're not telling me, child?
He seems to. He spoke to me of growing very frustrated and tired of intrigue, but doesn't seem to mind indulging in it whenever it is convenient for him.
He's a Nosferatu. All of his words wear masks. Ironically, he has. The man, when I knew him, had just returned from the Holy Land. He was a defender of Christianity there, even in his undead state, when it was that Jerusalem was as Jerusalem was. But he has always been a knight. That is both his strength and his weakness. A Nosferatu knight, admittedly, but a knight nonetheless, with all the strictures that involves.
Oh, 1 minute. Oh, I exist again, sorry.
I beg your pardon?
I exist again, sorry about that.
What happened?
I just had to move. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But needless to say, as I said, Hennessy is a powerful ally if he will be your ally. Or he is a powerful enemy if he will be your enemy. There's a short.
I think for now he is neither.
But then again, I knew him when his name was Henry. Fascinating how time changes things.
Well, as you say, every word he uses is a mask.
We. But my darling child, my darling grandchild, the fact of the matter is that you walk an interesting tightrope here.
Yes, I'm currently walking several. Oh, I found myself in a very, very dangerous position between two Justicars.
So I've heard. Point that the lion in London roared, from what I'm led to understand.
Yes, he sent me a letter of complimenting me. I was very pleasantly surprised. I was not expecting the Prince of London to involve himself in the matters of Dublin, although I am rather thankful that he did so.
Mithras thinks of this place as an extension of his realm, with his grandchilder on the throne. He's always wanted this island, and he could never have it until now. Or at least that's how he feels.
I'm not sure how Hennessy, well, I am quite sure how Hennessy feels about that, but I'm not sure if he's going to act on it or not.
Hennessy could have taken the throne, or rather, he could have plunged this city into civil war. He stepping down from the princedom is what saved this city from bloodshed. If he rises up, he could quite possibly take the Praxis, but it would depend richly on if Mithras chose to intervene. In that case, things would become bloody very quickly, and it would become a much more unpleasant situation for all involved here.
And I don't think he wants to be the one who makes that decision, if only because then he becomes the focus of all the scorn that lies in the wake of such chaos.
The Ventru cannot see beyond the ends of their own noses. All they see is their own personal power, and they don't necessarily care who it is they step on. It is unfortunate, but it is true.
Until that which they're stepping on decides to gain their attention, usually the bloody end of a blade.
Do not get me wrong, Grandchilder. In the event that Mr. Hennessy wished to take the Praxis, he would do it in a single evening, and there would be a number of deaths. That would be simple. But keeping it after that point is what would become complicated.
Yes.
Though I question if our interests would be more aligned with him than with the venture.
Francis thinks on this. I can see situations in which both could serve our interests. Hennessy would make a very powerful ally directly from within Dublin, although the fact that the Ventru have made efforts to secure my position here at all obviously leads me to incline myself towards the current state of the domain.
But bear in mind, and I will say this openly because it is public knowledge, if you would like to look into the matter yourself, you may feel free to do so. The individual Master Hennessy is a very personal friend, from what I'm led to understand, of I can never remember. So, yes, that's the word. Because there isn't actually a single answer to this. He is a personal friend of Stanford Warwick. Do you know the gentleman?
Yes, I have. Only in passing, though. I've never met the gentleman, but he has quite the reputation.
He is a very intelligent individual and serves well as Clan Nosferatu's Justicar. But I digress. As I said, Dublin is an interesting city. I am interested in it because it is currently there are many eyes that are upon it who are looking hungrily at the domain because it is they either believe it should be theirs by right, it should be theirs by conquest, or it can simply be claimed by them.
Well, there are at least 3 entities I'm aware of that want the domain for themselves. I'm currently warring with all of them.
And what are the 3?
It's about the Red Lister and the Anarchs. The Anarchs are a rather tragic state of affairs. They've decided to back a Sabbat infiltrator, believing him to be one of their own even after they betrayed an Anarch to said Red Lister. I can't imagine what he must have said to convince the Baron. It's not a good look for him.
Or is it the only look that he can wear? The Anarchs only have power because people choose to believe in their cause, as incorrect as it is. The fact of the matter is that the fact of the matter is the Anarchs only have legitimacy as long as people give them legitimacy. So if an individual was to not back a supposed friend or individual who pledged to their cause, he would quite quickly lose support.
Then the Baron has found himself pressed into a corner, not necessarily of his own choosing.
Aye.
That may actually be very beneficial. You may be able to avoid a war with the Anarchs entirely, so long as we take out the individual that caused it.
Quite possibly.
I won't mention the Anarch's name because, frankly, it's so ridiculous and vulgar, and I don't really wish to speak of him. That, and he is not really of any real significance.
As you say.
Just a catalyst.
Catalyst.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Well, for the war, as it were. Then we've got the Sabbat in Waterford, who have done vile things to that poor city. Well, I can feel the buildings themselves positively groan under the sheer bloodshed they've unleashed upon it.
How disconcerting. And vulgar.
It was somewhat concerning to me. It's almost as if the city forgot about the threat the Sabbat posed, but I suppose the Red Lister has had that effect on people.
Indeed. The Tremere are frightened. That doesn't happen very often. It's an interesting thing to watch.
I'll be honest, in many ways it frightens me. It has warped me in ways that I do not appreciate.
Oh.
When it corrupted Elysium, I had to, or rather, I was the carrier of a fuel source, a charge for a particularly potent ritual that the Tremere had constructed to cure whatever had been afflicted upon the place. 169 lives to be sacrificed. And I alone had to confront the creature that stared into me as I did so.
When you look into the abyss stares back into you.
And it has many eyes.
You did what you felt you needed to do, ultimately.
Yes, it does not please me to sacrifice so many, but if so many must be sacrificed to save so many more, then that is what must be done.
Wait.
It is a choice with little agency.
As unpleasant as it is, my friend, the fact of the matter is you did all you could.
And sadly, we did lose a kindred on the reclamation of the Elysium. Not one of our own, but still one I've made. I've taken pains to state that their name is to not be disrespected, as they died in defense of the domain.
Indeed.
And, well, then there's everything else. There's Fleur, who I'm glad to finally see again. Delano's Childer, a strange mix of socialite and recluse. And my county, a fledgling harpy. So we're quite the odd mix here.
Indeed, I should think so.
And then there's Miss Stevenson, the gangrel. She interests me.
Why?
A bit like my county, she keeps finding herself into situations which reasonably no neonate should ever find themselves in. But she seems to be at the center of almost every major event that occurs within the city.
Sometimes people are kissed by fate, I should think.
She is. It appears the Red Lister has taken an interest in her and me.
I often find that it is best not to contemplate the mind of a madman, lest you start to slip down the same slope.
I do wish to learn more of him, though. His actions, from what I've seen, and I have seen more than most others in this domain in regards to this man, this thing, appear contradictory in many ways. Strange. It seeks to end the world, yet seems to care very much about the sanctity of the world it's ending, or rather the people within it.
That is perplexing.
Oh, I almost forgot. It really just goes to show how chaotic this city has been. Yes, my name is the Obsidian Lantern has paid me several visits, imparting prophecies to myself and my county, and Miss Stevenson, and showed me some sort of conversation between himself and a kindred that the Red Lister seems intrigued with. Its name, his name was a priest. He was a priestly figure. His name was Cappadocius.
There's that wonderful moment where he stops and crushes the little cup in his hand. Just.
Ooh, Francis makes note of that. Zora does look with oh. Zora's like, oh, something is happening. Uh-oh.
I do not recommend, darling child, that you speak that name out loud again.
Noted.
Good.
It's part of the reason why I refer to the Red Lister as the Red Lister.
Indeed. Now, he stands up. He actually stands up and he says, "You have wearied me. I'm going to withdraw for the evening."
Of course. Well, I hope I've been pleasant company.
Yes. Weird one. Are you reading his aura?
I mean, I'll read his aura.
Do you want to read his aura?
I want to read his aura. Yeah, I got 5 successes. What does he look like?
I got to go to the colors.
Colors! Oh, I hope I haven't made him bored. I don't want to make my grandsire bored, damn it. That's the last thing I want. I feel sad.
No, actually.
I think I scared him. For mentioning that fucking person.
His aura is currently orange. Orange. Slight flecks of purple.
Ooh.
With dark blue flecks, and it's all scrambled in together with kind of white noise-ish elements.
Oh, wow, yeah, he's really spooked. That's interesting. Francis doesn't react too much because this is really kind of a confirmation of what he already believed or suspected from him kind of just crushing the glass.
With that, he will he won't say another word, but he will walk out of the room.
Francis will, yeah, be left alone with his drink for a few minutes, I suppose. Kind of thinking. Probably after a few minutes of just kind of swirling his drink and, well, drinking some of it, he'll probably just go to the piano. He doesn't know how to play piano, so he really just kind of lets his hands run along the surface of it. Kind of almost enviously, like, because he can never play like his grandsire. He can't play like many members of his clan. He can't play. He can't sing. He can dance, but not really through any real skill. More as just a grand series of monumentous flukes. But
And with that, as Francis stands lonely at the piano, we shall end our scene. Thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene in Darkness in Dublin. Have a pleasant evening.